Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 59 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I am your host, Joseph Laney Pavon. Alongside me, I have my co host, Justin Heber, as well as Daniel Ford, and later we'll have Austin LaPlante.
Yep.
As usual, he's eating dinner. We have NASCAR. It's back for the first time since early March, when they raced at Phoenix before this unprecedented pandemic took over the world of sports, putting NASCAR and pretty much everything else that was to offer to the sidelines. Sim racing. Sim racing went through the roof during this time off. And it became unprecedented that these drivers would actually take sim racing seriously. And just to see how that went was impressive on its own. But the cars are on track after over 2 long months of waiting at the Darlington Raceway. We will talk about everything that happened in the Darlington 400. Obviously, of course, we give thanks to everybody that has put themselves in front of others to keep everybody safe during this time. And obviously, we thank everybody that has, been out on the front lines during this pandemic.
Yeah.
Austin. I didn't think you'd be listening.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So, let's start off with the Cup Series race that happened on Sunday. So we had the Darlington 400, which is round 5 of a current 32 race calendar. Obviously, the number of races total will change, most likely than not.
Yeah.
So here was the results. Kevin Harvick scored his 50th career win. After leading 159 laps from the 6th place starting grid, they drew the pole.
Yep.
And extends that points lead.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let's go down the results here and just brief rundown of yesterday. Kevin Harvick, of course, the race winner, but then Alex Bowman finished second after leading 41 laps, started second.
Yep.
Kurt Busch, who started 22nd, finished in the 3rd spot. Chase Elliott, the second highest Hendrick car, finished 4th after starting 11th. Denny Hamlin, who was my prediction to win the race, finished 5th from 10th on the grid. He didn't lead a lap, but he remained out towards the front. Martin Truex Jr., who had an up-and-down day, finished 6th. He started 15th and spent most of the beginning of the race, the first half, towards the rear.
Yeah, he was running like 29th. Yeah, he was not doing too good at the start.
And then looking down the rest of the top 10, Tyler Reddick scored his career best finish of 7th after starting 29th. Impressive run by him. Eric Jones, who won the Southern 500 last September, finished 8th after starting 20th. John Hunter Nemechek finished 9th after starting 34th, his career best finish. Yep. Impressive job. We'll get into John Hunter a little bit more. And Matt Kenseth, in his first race since November of 2018 at Homestead Miami Speedway, finishes 10th in his Chip Ganassi racing debut after starting 12th, which was an amazing run for the Wisconsin native. And let's go down the list for some of the notables. Brad Keselowski, who won stage 2, led 80 laps from the pole. As I said earlier, they drew for qualifying.
Yeah,
Ryan Newman, in his first race since the Daytona 500 crash that sidelined him for the last 3 races, started 21st, finished 15th. Ryan Blaney was not in the picture really at all yesterday, but he managed to get 16th. He did start in the top 10, which was the only highlight of the event, which of course was not by qualifying, it was by draws.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch, while he was up front for a little bit, he started 4th. He had a flat tire, never recovered. He finished 26th. William Byron won stage 1 after leading 3 laps. A tire failure took him out of the picture, finishing 35th. Last running car on the racetrack. He started 18th. Then 38th, Jimmy Johnson, who led 9 laps started 8th, and as many know, he had that contact on the backstretch with Chris Buescher taking him out.
Yeah, that was really heartbreaking for a lot of Jimmy Johnson fans, especially myself. But at the end of the day, that's racing, and we'll come back to Martinsville and do it and
it was
try to
very
get that
impressive to
win.
see what Jimmy did before it. I mean, he's proven to us in 2020 that pre-2017 Jimmy Johnson is slowly coming
out of
back.
the window.
Yeah,
and last place on the first lap, of course, was Daytona 500 pole sitter Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He started 23rd. So everyone was asking, without a single session, will they make it through the first lap? Well, they almost did. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. managed, not to take anyone with him, but
it was the thing about that was where people drew like Quinn House starting 27 was okay, he drew 27, but he started checking up the field, which didn't help anybody, and McDowell made contact. McDowell got bounced into the 47, which spun Stenhouse, and Quinn House, I don't know, he got really loose.
In my opinion, that's the inevitable when you you put the cars on track and not have a single session.
But also, it's Quinn House drew 27, but his car's not fast. He's people say according to several people, the fastest small team is the 15 team. Not Gaunt Brothers is a little bit higher, but for the back markers is the 15 premium car. But Quinn House, that car, he got loose, and he was going 100 miles per hour, he was going slower, and checked up a lot of the field behind, and which resulted to that. And we've had a number of caution flags. Yeah, the thing with there was the
we had a total of 10 cautions for 57 laps.
But we had this 2-stage yellow, so 8 yellow flags.
Incident caught yellow flag.
Yeah, we had 1 debris caution in turn 4 with the banner getting stuck on people's cars, which I'm what? The blue emu decal got brushed off by Kyle Busch, brushed the wall and started ripping the decal off, and then people started hitting the decal, and Tyler Reddick got most of it. At the end, Reddick had it stuck on his car, so he had to, when the caution came out, he obviously pitted. He lost some spots, but made it back up. But Kyle Busch, he had an up and down day. He had to go to the back. Remember, he had to go in the back of the field.
Yes, he did. And Tyler Reddick impressed me. He was the rookie of the race by 2 positions ahead of second in that list, John Hunter Nemechek.
Which
Tyler Reddick is a serious contender. If he races like that.
Yeah. The thing was that I've noticed, remember Cole Custer started 14? He was in the top 10 for the first part of the race. And he faded to the back after that. He finished 22nd. Cole Custer he was fast in the first stage. Stage 2, he couldn't rebound. He was stuck running 22nd and finished 22nd. So he'll start 22nd on Wednesday. Which
all
really,
right.
Yeah.
And let's get into the point standings. Here's the top 10 after 5 races. Kevin Harvick has extended that points lead to 28 over Alex Bowman. So 218 for Harvick, 190 points for Alex Bowman. Then Joey Logano is at 185 points in third. Chase Elliott has claimed 178 points in fourth. And then 20 points behind Elliott is Brad Keselowski with 158 scored so far. Daytona 500 champion Denny Hamlin has 154. Eric Almirola with 151. Ryan Blaney took a big hit in the last 2 races. He sits at 144. Matt DiBenedetto at 141 remains in ninth in the Wood Brothers car, and Clint Boyer is new to the top 10 with 135 points. The next race will be the Darlington 500 kilometer. We'll get into that later, and the Coca-Cola 600. So that will be round 6 and 7.
Wait, Joseph. By the way, if you haven't realized, guess who took the biggest hit in points in just this race? Jimmy Johnson. He was 5th. He's 12th in the standings. 7 spots.
Gosh.
He lost 7 spots in just one race in points, which
Damn, man.
That's a big
That's
hit.
a big impact. That's a big impact for him.
Aside from that race at Darlington and being taken out in the big one at Daytona of 35th, it's been 5th, 7th, and 12th. And if that incident did not happen with Chris Buescher,
he could have had a good finish.
Yeah, he may have stayed in the top 5 in points.
Yeah,
or maybe grab 3rd place in points.
Right.
Just like it's just those incidents like sometimes you have to be careful around traffic. Like we've seen incidents with lap cars, but sometimes people have to be careful, and also people get loose, and which we saw. Remember at the end of the race, Joseph, Ryan Blaney off turn 4? He almost spun, but saved it. Like, that's how cars get loose when you hit the bumps at Darlington. Your car gets loose. Like, Ryan Blaney almost spun into Clint Boyer and saved it. Which, that was an impressive save by Ryan Blaney. But, like, Ryan Blaney, he lost some points, too. Like, he was in the...
Not a good handling car.
He finished... He was running... Like, most of the race was 15th to 20th all race long. Like...
All right, Joe Semeniego, how you doing? Surprise first-time winner Wednesday? Well, I mean, the stage is set. We'll see. I think so. We'll get more into that later.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some of the headlines first and foremost. Actually, you know what? Let's get into the race preview. I mean, obviously, the Darlington 500K is an inaugural race, so if you want to know about the history of Darlington, obviously, let's just say go check out the last podcast.
Yeah, because we're talking about...
Right, well, we'll get more in the Coke 600. Obviously, 2 races a week. That will be round 6 and 7 of currently 32 races.
Yeah.
And we'll also talk about the NASCAR Xfinity Series Darlington 200, which will be around 5 of 28, like currently 28 races. That might change.
Yeah.
So what we'll do, talking about the Darlington 500 kilometers, I mean, all we have is the starting lineup for the race. So I'll read it down here. Ryan Preece and Dylan will be the front row. Now, mind you, the front half of the...
was inverted.
Yeah, Justin.
Because
the front half of the finishing results.
Yeah, so basically the guy in 20th, which was Ryan Preece, will start first. So basically Harvick will start 20th, Preece will start first. So like it's gonna be them, and because Bowman will start 19th, Harvick 20th, but the back half of the field, if you don't know, the back half of the field, wherever they finish, they stay there, except Josh Bilicki's not entered, so there's only 39 cars, which
any new entries will start behind the inverted pack.
The only new drivers, we have Gaulding in the 27 and Yaley's in the 77. Any other that, it's the same drivers.
So I'm going to read it off. So it looks like this. Ryan Preece and Ty Dillon, your front row. So you have JTG Doherty Racing and Germain Racing. Yep. Then the Fords of Joey Logano and Clint Boyer, Ryan Blaney and Ryan Newman, 5th and 6th. 7th and 8th, more Fords. Matt DiBenedetto, Brad Keselowski, and I'll just read it down. Eric Almirola, Austin Dillon. So your top 10 looks like that. Then Matt Kenseth, John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones, Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman, and Kevin Harvick, your top 20. Bubba Wallace, Cole Custer, Michael McDowell, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, Brendan Poole, Greg Gaulding, Ross Chastain, and Joey Gase.
No, Joseph. Yaley's in the 77, remember?
Oh.
Yeah, Yaley.
Yeah, sorry about that. Racing reference is something. And then here's the last 9 spots. Joe Gase, Corey LaJoie, Chris Buescher, Timmy Hill, William Byron, Quinn Houff, Garrett Smithley, Jimmy Johnson, BJ McLeod, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah, nobody goes home.
Obviously not. There's a cap of 40 if you watched last week's podcast. So who is going to win on Wednesday? Mind you, it's a 500-kilometer race, and that's only 311 miles, 228 laps.
Yeah, like, who? Joe asked, does this mean Ryan? No. the thing about Ryan, the by the way, the draws that doesn't count for the Busch Clash. The reason is the only race so far that we know there's a qualifying session is the Coke 600. The only way you're in the Clash, you have to win a pole from an actual qualifying session. So Ryan Preece is not going to be in the Clash because you have to win an actual pole, like a qualifying, like the Coke 600,
like an actual qualifying session.
Yeah, like an earned qualifying.
Yeah,
like
that makes more sense.
Yeah, so
I see why NASCAR does it.
Yeah,
so it's speaking
but
of
that
the
won't
Clash,
stop me from getting on air in 2003 and adding those pulsators who drew for pole because I'm clever and I like to be curious.
I don't even know who I want to win. I don't even know how it's going to be with some of the fast guys in the back, and they have to make their way through the field because it's not the 293 lap race. It's only 228 laps, and you have to get by the slower cars too.
You have to get to the front quickly. There's no more time to waste here.
Yes.
So let's talk about predictions. Who is going to win the Darlington 500 kilometer?
Oh, this is hard. Like, I'm just trying to think. It's like
I think. I think Harvick can win twice.
Seems realistic.
Harvick can win again. Either that or Truex.
I wouldn't go to Martin Truex Jr. just yet. I'll get into him a little bit later, actually. But I will talk about one driver that I think has a great chance of winning, and that is Alex Bowman in the 88 car. He was strong yesterday, and I think that it's going to go to victory lane.
Oof. Oh, my goodness. For me,
but if he's not going to win the race, then I'm going with Kevin Harvick.
For me, this pick, this driver, he knows Darlington quite well. He might have not. He didn't finish too well. He finished in the. I just need to double check something quickly. Just checking this driver that I may or may not like too much. Okay, this driver would. Okay. This guy won the Southern 500 12 years ago. Drives the number 18, Kyle Busch. The reason is he's good at Darlington. He could have had a top 10 yesterday. Even if I don't like him, I still felt bad for him finishing 26. He didn't deserve that. Yeah, Kyle Busch is going to win at Darlington.
And he's just good. I mean, if you look at how he wins all these lower series races, they're short races.
Yeah, like that race is only 228 laps, so like I feel like Kyle Busch, don't sleep on Kyle Busch there. When he gets you'll see him up there. You'll see him get through the field and run up front. So yeah.
All right. Austin will give in his pick when he says he's back, but grand intro.
Austin.
Whew.
So we're all talking about preview for 500K Wednesday.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson winner.
Well,
unless we didn't do picks yet.
I did my pick.
I tried mine. I tried that the first time, and it didn't work out. So,
but I'm sticking with my decision.
Yeah, I
didn't pick Keselowski again.
Way back there, he's got to come right up front.
I picked Kyle Busch for some random reason. I don't know why.
And I have Alex Bowman.
The reason I didn't pick Alex Bowman. Remember when I picked Alex Bowman those couple times and he did win? Except Auto Glove, I picked Kurt Busch and it was Alex Bowman winning, which I'm like, really? Why did I?
Damn, dude, come on.
Yeah, Yeah, I like every time I pick Bowman, he doesn't win, but I don't win. Even Chicagoland, I did not pick Alex Bowman. I don't think for Chicagoland, and he ended up winning. Like,
so we'll get into the other race that is coming up, which is the Coca-Cola 600 on the Sunday before Memorial Day. It's round 7 of 32. So round 6 is the Darlington 500K. Round 7.
Qualifying at 2 o'clock.
Right. There will be a qualifying session, an actual one.
Yeah,
and
that's the only
longest race of the season. 600 miles.
400 laps.
400 laps. It's a long race. You really have to strategize.
And it's going to be 4 stages.
Yep, 100 lap each. Like, so yeah, you have. And it's good. No, it's still the same format as last year. And also, you don't want to always. That's going to be a tough race for the drivers.
We'll get into the keys of the race in a bit, but here's some facts about the Coca-Cola 600. It is the 61st running of the race, 60-year anniversary of the first race, which was Joe Lee Johnson who won that event. Last year, Martin Truex Jr. scored the win. Now, here are the drivers that have the most victories at the Coca-Cola 600. Darrell Waltrip with 5. And just beneath them as a driver who could tie him, Jimmy Johnson. With 4. Yeah. And then these drivers have 3 wins at the Coke 600. Buddy Baker, David Pearson, Buddy Allison, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, and Casey Kane. And then here are the drivers with 2 wins at the famous event. Fred Lorenzen, Jim Pascal, Richard Petty, Neil Bonnet, Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, and Martin Truex Jr. And most team wins, Hendrick Motorsports has 11 over Richard Childress Racing with 6, Petty Enterprises with 5, Holman Mooney, Wood Brothers, and Roush with the 4 powerhouse teams with 4 wins, as well as the powerhouse Pontiac turned Chevy turned Toyota team, Joe Gibbs Racing. And then and then here's this team with 3 wins. They were made famous with Darrell Waltrip, Dyegard Motorsports, then Junior Johnson and Associates with 2 wins, as well as Robert Yates Racing and Evernham Motorsports. Most make wins for the Coke 600.
Obviously, Chevrolet
24. And second on the list, half of the amount of wins Chevy has is Ford. Then Dodge with 8. Toyota with 5. Mercury has 4. Plymouth with 3. Buick and Pontiac with 2. So all the facts aside, it seems like if you drive for Rick Hendrick and if you are about to get your first win, this is the race that will favor you.
Especially, just like how Roger Penske has 18 wins at Indy, Rick Hendrick has how many wins he has?
11. More
11.
Than any other team.
And any other team in NASCAR. If you want to be known in your racing career, this is the race for you to win right here.
All right, I'm going to name all the first-time winners who have won the Coca-Cola 600. Start off in the second ever running with a Hall of Famer named David Pearson in 1961. And then it hasn't happened until 1994.
Jeff Gordon.
Another famous career. Bobby Labonte, 1995. And then Matt Kenseth in 2000. He's back.
Matt Kenseth.
Casey Mears.
David I was just about to get to Casey Mears.
Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon's the recent one. Casey Mears also, and David Rudiman.
The first win ever for Michael Waltrip Racing, and the first for Toyota at the event. The most recent rain shortened event.
Yeah. Except 2017 was not rain shortened, but it was rain delayed for. It literally finished about 1 a.m. Eastern, which.
Yeah, I remember that.
The problem was I had school the next day because I live in Canada. I had school. I literally went to bed for me it was like 2 a.m. and I woke up at 7 a.m. Yeah, I woke up at 7 a.m. So 5 hours of sleep before school, and my friend Alex like, "Why are you tired?" I'm like, "I watched the Coke 600. That's why." Yeah.
I actually I went sleepless for that whole weekend in 2017 because the Nürburgring 24 hours also took place, and that hooked me because if you saw the finish of the 2017 running, and unfortunately that's not going to happen on Memorial Day weekend as it was scheduled, as well as the Indy 500 and Monaco Grand Prix. But We are still treated with the longest NASCAR Cup race of the calendar, and
Yep.
that's a race that never disappoints. It's really endurance. You're just
Yeah.
one driver in a car, and you have to
Yeah.
strategize.
Yep. And
Fuel strategy, especially with fuel.
yeah, even with the stages, you can't make it 100 laps on fuel. You could only make like 58 laps on fuel. So you still
50
have to
or
pit.
60 max.
Yeah, like you can't go 100 laps on fuel. You can't save 40 laps of fuel at Charlotte. That's
But
impossible.
what about
That is
tires?
definitely not
Oh, the
Just
possible.
because you save fuel doesn't mean that your
tires.
car is going to be running fine without new
Yeah,
tires.
you need tires at Charlotte. Like Darlington's bad for tires. Charlotte's also bad. One of the worst tracks for tires also is Atlanta.
Auto Club.
And Auto Club.
Atlanta's also bad too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Atlanta
Paved.
So if you don't run a certain
Yeah.
groove there that's already been ran by other drivers, you're in for a rough time.
Yeah, like, and hopefully this does not. Hopefully we don't have a record number of yellows like
'Cause this race could be
2005.
long.
We don't want the 22 yellow flags from 2005. We don't want
God.
that.
Or
Was
how
long.
about the inaugural event that went 5 hours and 34
Oh
minutes?
jeez, that would be long.
No cars are
If-
going slow.
Doing
Yeah,
some of the other,
yeah.
I mean, sure, they didn't max out top speeds then,
Yeah.
but 2005, I remember that race. I was
Oh, 22,
long when I,
Or
22 yellow flags.
luckily, by convincing to stay up, worked, and I got to see Jimmy Johnson win for the third straight time.
hey man, you want to know? Hey guys, you want to talk about a dominant performance at the Coke 600? I gave it to you, Martin Truex Jr. 2016.
392 laps.
Oh
left.
yeah,
That is a blistering performance because
out of
if you,
400.
I mean, it's like usually slow and steady wins the race, right?
Yeah,
But
he went on full steam ahead.
Yeah, like I remember that race. I'm like, holy, like, he dominated.
right,
Like he literally just dominated that race. Like I'm just looking through here. He led 392 laps.
how about Kyle Busch in 2018, 377? That wasn't far.
Jimmy Johnson led 5 laps. Logano led 1 lap, and the other 2 laps were led by Paul Menard. They were the only leaders of that race. But
So I bet that probably happened under pit cycles or maybe under caution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the strain that it's going to put on these crews and drivers?
Hey, this is one of the shockest
They
things.
can exercise at their home. That's the only way.
Oh. Don't know what's also an interesting fact about the Coke 600?
No.
2016 was the race with the less retirements. 1 car was out. Reed Sorensen on lap 200. Everybody was still running, which is just impressive. The first yellow, actual crash was lap 115, and it was Brian Scott. Those 4 yellows.
Pre-stage.
Yeah,
right, because the next year they would implement the stages.
Yeah, the 2016 Coke 600 had 4 yellows. They had the competition yellow on lap 27. They had Brian Scott on lap 115. Then Jeffrey Earnhardt would crash in turn 4 on lap 205. The final yellow came on lap 341 with debris. But and 4 cautions. And Truex just dominated.
This race also was unfortunately the site of the death of a short-lived driver who was Fireball Roberts, and the crash may not have taken his life, like the impact, but it was actually the fires that came out, and the fireproof suits was not mandatory back then, and Ned Jarrett had the first person view of it, and unfortunately had to live with that memory. And
that was.
If you look up the interview of Ned Jarrett, it tells you how gruesome. 1964 was a rough year because if you remember the Indy 500,
the 60s. Let me just say this: the 60s and the 70s in motorsports are the deadliest decades in motorsports.
Yeah, but particularly 1964
Oh, that was
Exactly.
worse. Yeah,
because I mean, it started with Joe Weatherly, the reigning champion, losing his life at Riverside, and then Fireball Roberts, one of the main competitors, and then the side of Indy, we had that horrifying crash, which brought out the first ever red flag in Indy 500 history, taking the lives of both Eddie Sachs and Dave McDonald. So yeah, boy, times have changed and for the better, and when it comes to safety and racing. Let me give you some other fun facts here.
Before you go any further, you guys want to know the funniest Coke 600, and the reason why I say
what?
funny is because of radioactive. Is because with the radios getting hacked with the spotters.
Oh yeah, I remember
How do
this.
you remember that?
That
It
was
feels
so
like an era
funny.
ago.
That was in
Well,
2018, guys.
no, it was
Oh,
yeah, yeah, and he asked about Kyle Busch's tires, and then he told Alex Bowman, you know,
yeah,
Yep.
we're not gonna
whatever.
go there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not
yeah,
going
yeah.
there.
I remember that. Yeah, yeah. He was. Yeah. It was weird. It literally happened for a couple laps, and everybody was confused about it.
Yeah.
Right. Here's a Coke 600. I think a lot of you guys may have forgotten, but Mark Martin in 2002 won the race and
Oh,
for Roush, and he brought out a 4-race streak for that team in this event. It was starting with Jeff Burton, and of course the first win for Matt Kenseth in 2000, and then Burton again in 2001, then Mark Martin before a three-peat for Johnson. But then, of
yeah.
course, like I mentioned, first-time winners were prevalent. Casey Mears winning in 07 was beyond anyone's expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle Petty,
Well,
JJ
yeah.
Yaley getting top
Third.
fives.
And even Reed Sorensen. Reed Sorensen fourth. Brian Vickers fifth. Yeah,
That's what
JJ
happens when you
Yaley's
play the
best career.
field cards right.
Yeah, JJ Yaley's best career finish was second place.
And Kyle Petty's
Other-
last top five.
Ever.
Yep.
All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about
Oh,
the.
my-
Actually, before we get into Xfinity, let's talk about predictions for the Coke 600. So who's
Uh,
going to win this endurance
oh.
race?
Oh. Okay. I think I know my pick. This driver.
I know my
He's-
pick too.
This driver. He's driving for a good team. He's actually driving for the team with most wins. But it's not
Most
for
wins right now.
the team with the most wins at the Coke 600. But this driver, it's not his first career win. He actually has a win this season. Alex Bowman's going to win the Coke. Yep, Alex Bowman's going to win the Coke 600.
All right. This driver here has won the Coca-Cola 600 twice for two different teams, including last year, and especially after what happened in 2016 and even
Yep.
last year. There's no reason why I wouldn't say that Martin Truex Jr. is going to win this race. I think the 19 will be in victory lane for the third time and the second in a row at this famous event.
And you know what? Austin, you may not agree with me on this one, but I'm going to have to go with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, he's going to get his second win at the Coca-Cola 600, man. He got his first win in 2018. Hold on, man.
He's winning. I don't care. I don't care about stats. I don't care if he doesn't go back to bat. He's winning. Moving on. Next.
Okay.
Go on, Danny. So why do you think that 18 is going to win the race?
I feel like the 18 is going to win the race. You know, he nearly won it last year. I got to give Truex Jr. credit when it's due. But 2018, man, after years of trying, you know, I think he could get the job done.
20 years of. Sorry.
And
Yeah.
will he do it in dominating performance as Truex did in 2016? My gut tells me yes.
And since this race is prone to having first-time winners and really great careers beginning with the first win, the Coke 600, like I mentioned, Pearson, Gordon, Kenseth, just to name a few, Labonte, Um, who will have the best finish of a driver that has not won in the Cup Series yet? So we're not excluding this to rookies. What driver who's not been to victory lane in the NASCAR Cup Series will have the highest finish of them that could win the race? Who is that?
This is quite an I don't know.
If I was able to say Byron, but I would, but damn, I can't.
I see.
I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick here because he's showing impressive speed, and I have him, in my opinion, in my really, really strong perspective. Tyler Reddick will be the Rookie of the Year and score his first win this season, and it might just be here. Just look at Matt Kenseth in 2000.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one, Joseph.
Hey.
Tyler Reddick, man.
But wait a second.
What?
There's not just Tyler Reddick here. Cole Custer. He's driving for Stuart Haas. He has to get used to these cars because Reddick ran this package last year, which was good. Custer ran with the old package 2018. Cole Custer has to get used to these cars, and he's driving for Stuart Haas, which is one of the best teams. And at one point, I bet you, starting soon, Cole Custer is going to be beating his other team. He might be starting to be better than Clint Bourne and Eric Almirola. I do see that.
I mean, that's the long term.
But like I see that he's. But like I feel like he's going to be starting to click, and because he has to get used to these cars that drive different from his Xfinity car from last year. Like I see him starting to do better.
Sorry.
Do you have any first-time winner predictions there, Austin?
No, sorry.
Nada.
Not a burp.
All right, now let's get into our Xfinity Series predictions. So this is their first race back since Phoenix in early March. The Darlington 200 will be running tomorrow night, 2 hours earlier from scheduled time due to possibilities of inclement weather. So instead of 8 p.m. Eastern, it'll be 6 p.m. Eastern for round 5 of a current 28 race schedule. That, of course, may change depending on the track announcements for the ones that remain. Last year, Cole Custer won, even though he finished physically second. Inspection ruled Hamlin that he did not pass inspection, giving Custer the win. He won't be in the race, though. The first race was in 1982 in the inaugural season, won by Jeffrey Bodine, and who has the most wins? And this is total across all Darlington races. Mark Martin with 8 over Denny Hamlin with 5. Not 6, but 5. Jeff Burton and Harry Gant share 4 wins apiece. Jeffrey Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, and Matt Kenseth with 3. Ron Bouchard, Kyle Busch, Dale Jarrett, Darrell Waltrip, and Robert Presley with 2 victories. And for the spring race at Darlington, the most team wins is Roush Fenway Racing with 8, Whitaker Racing with 3, and Dale Earnhardt Incorporated with 2. And for most make wins at the spring race at Darlington, 8 for Ford, 5 for Chevy and Pontiac, 3 for Buick, and 1 for Dodge. Obviously, it's been a long time since we've seen these Xfinity cars on track. Who will come out on top here?
Oh,
We have 39 cars here because if you haven't watched the podcast last week or if your head's under a rock, the Xfinity Truck Series will have a 40-car cap racing events without qualifying.
Because the Xfinity Series, the new rule was 36, but because of that, it's 40 because they do draws now because they don't do qualifying sessions because the weekends more shorter. So, this is so hard because like there's good cars in the front, but there's also some slower guys in the.
Dark horse pick, Ryan Sieg. Think I'm going to be race winner? Just no Geyer.
All right, so my prediction, he starts 26. He's the winningest driver in the series, and he has the best-looking car on track. I'm going for Kyle Busch. I think there's no reason why he shouldn't win the race.
Okay. My pick.
Cheating.
My pick. This driver. Let me just need to check where he starts because I don't memorize every people that where they start because I don't
Racing
know.
Reference Info.
But no, I'm using the NASCAR.
I'm talking to the viewers.
Like the where's okay? Okay.
It's posted.
Okay.
All right, so here's the starting lineup. I'll just read it down for you.
Okay, I got my pick.
Oh, never mind.
This driver, he's a rookie. He's one of the rookies this season. He starting 12th, and he is the points leader. Harrison Burns gonna win at Darlington. One reason why we've seen rookies win this race. One other rookie that won this race recently in any race at Darlington, Chase Elliott won Darlington in 2014.
An impressive duel with Elliott Sadler in the final lap.
Like I literally feel like Harrison Burns, he could get to the front. Like he's never ran Darlington, but another impressive thing, his win at Auto Club, he never ran at Auto Club Speedway before. It was his first start at Auto Club, and he ended up winning. So I feel like Harrison Burns is going to win in his number 20 car.
But I think experience might play out, though, with someone like Kyle Busch. But if Busch doesn't win the race, I might go with Ross Chastain here.
The thing about Kyle Busch, he has to get through the field again, but he has to pass slow guys like B.J. McLeod, 13th. And
what about a dark horse like Daniel Hemrick, 23rd?
Hemrick, I don't know. It's just Hemrick's been unstable this year in Xfinity. He's been decent,
still in a new team.
Some other races he's running like towards the back. Like sometimes he gets outrun by like the back markers, which is kind of bad.
But at the same time, the Xfinity Series current total roster is made up with a majority of what people call back marker teams.
Yeah, but what?
Here's the lineup. Let me just go down the lineup here real quick. 39 total cars. Noah Gragson, Michael Annett, Junior Motorsports first and second. Justin Haley is third. Ryan Sieg, Riley Herbst, Brandon Brown, Austin Cindric, Brandon Jones, Ross Chastain, Justin Allgaier. Yeah, it's just the top 10.
Yeah,
but obviously it's not going to look the same later on. Go down the list: Chase Briscoe, Harrison Burton, B.J. McLeod, who takes over the car that David Starr got released from due to lack of sponsorship for Johnny Davis.
Yeah.
BJ also owns cars in the field.
Yep.
Mike Snyder and Josh Williams, Alex LeBay, Anthony Alfredo, Jesse Little, Ray Black Jr., Vinnie Miller, Cody Vanderwall, Brett Moffitt, Daniel Hemrick, Chad Fincham, Tommy Joe Martins, Kyle Busch, Matt Mills, Timmy Hill, Joe Nemechek, 1992 champion, Jeremy Clements, Colby Howard, Ronnie Bassett Jr., Mason Massey, Jeffrey Earnhardt. Welcome back to NASCAR.
Yep.
Bailey Curie, Joe Graff Jr., Stephen Light, Landon Castle, and Colin Garrett.
Yeah, Colin Garrett last place in which nobody knows. Colin Garrett, this is his actual first start because remember he DNQ'd at Daytona. And it's not the country singer or whatever.
No.
It's not. It's actually
everyone keeps saying that. It's not him.
No, it's Sam Hunt, K&N driver Sam Hunt, which Sam Hunt's 22 and Colin Garrett's 19. So that's the youngest combination of ages. Like, yeah, Sam Hunt used to be a K&N driver. He drove the 22 car in the K&N series.
Owner driver.
Yeah, so he's owning his team with Colin Garrett driving the number 26.
All right, so I think we have this. Now we have a lot of headlines to talk about.
Oh, jeez.
Here are the things that went on this past week in racing. So let's start off with BJ McLeod. Obviously, he's operating a Cup team for the first time.
The 7H.
But let's get into some Formula One. So Sebastian Vettel has announced that he will leave Ferrari after 2020. The 4-time world champion who went consecutive on all of the titles with Red Bull and switched to Ferrari after not scoring a fifth straight in 2014, moved to Ferrari with high expectations. And I don't know, just things may or may not have worked the best as people expected for Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari.
Yeah.
Named to replace him is Carlos Sainz. And now Carlos Sainz is a McLaren driver. A lot of people are taken by surprise by this, but I think that maybe this is the best thing that Sainz will get. We'll talk about how he raced at Ferrari. In his first year, he scored third in the championship, winning a total of 3 times. 2016 went winless, finished 4th. 2017, he won 4 times.
Okay.
Actually, 5 times.
Okay.
And finished 2nd. He was hanging in there.
Good.
Hamilton just pulled away there. And same thing for 2018. He
Yeah.
won 5 times again and finished 2nd.
But
And
Lewis just pulled away again.
2019
Oh,
was a major
Rough.
step backwards,
rough
winning
year.
only once at Singapore and finishing 5th in the World Championship.
And again, Lewis Hamilton pulled away from everybody. His teammate got 2nd, which Bottas, so it was Mercedes pulling away. Yeah, Mercedes just was better than Ferrari and Red Bull last year, so nobody could touch Mercedes last year.
And you got to understand that in 2019 was the first year that Charles Leclerc joined Ferrari.
Yep, from Alfa Romeo. He was at Alfa Romeo. Kimi literally... Ferrari, they literally just swapped Raikkonen. They literally swapped Raikkonen and Leclerc. That's what they did. They swapped both those drivers. That's what basically Alfa Romeo swapped. Basically, it was a switch. Basically, that's better way of putting it. Like they swapped. Yeah, that's what they did.
But I think also Ferrari knows. I mean, I'm kind of skeptical if you heard me talk about Ferrari in a negative way. Don't be surprised when I do so. That they do play favorites with the drivers.
Yeah.
They will make it clear who driver number 1 and driver number 2 is on the team.
Yeah.
It seems like it has become Charles Leclerc, and they've learned it very quickly. We saw it last summer when Leclerc scored his first 2 wins
back to back
in Spa, in the Belgian Grand Prix, and just after the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, a popular win. And you know what? Leclerc's a great driver. He's young. There's a long future ahead for him. But Vettel's not a bad driver either. His prime years do seem to be in the past.
Yeah.
Really since, 2015 was all right, but 2017 he stepped it up again, and 2018. But the thing is, just after halfway from the season, things kind of faltered. You go ahead and look at 2017. He scored points in every single race, but then retires at Singapore with that first lap incident.
Yeah,
and then that retirement at Japan opened the door for Hamilton to just walk away with it.
Yeah. There's some races that, like Sebastian Vettel, there's some races that go good, but there's other races where Bahrain. Remember when he spun? Spun Bahrain. Another race he spun out was oh my goodness, I should know. At Monza, remember when he came back in front of the people?
Yeah, in the first lap.
Yeah, that's you don't want
cracking under pressure. I know.
Yeah.
Joe says in the comments, I think Ferrari will not have the performance to beat Mercedes. I think Max is Lewis's biggest threat. Don't count on Max Verstappen.
Yeah, right. The thing about Ferrari, usually they try to be fast in preseason. They were not fast in preseason. They were slow. They were off the pace.
But no one had any clue that the season would begin.
But they were a second.
Soon.
But they were a second off of Mercedes. That's not good when you're a second off Mercedes.
No.
Like, Racing Point was faster than Ferrari. Which Racing Point has last year's Mercedes car. That's basically what it is. It's
Right now,
literally
Carlos Sainz, if you look at his stats, this is the driver who's set to replace Sebastian Vettel in Ferrari for 2021.
Yep.
He scored 6 in the World Championship last year, highest of any of the top 3 teams, or like beneath them.
Yeah, he really did good.
Outside of drivers for Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari.
Yeah, like he really did good in that season.
And take a look at his records here. Of course, he only had 3 retirements, which is, not bad. Sometimes you can't help when you're in a wreck. You can't control everything.
Or mechanical issues.
Right. But he didn't score points until Baku in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix late April with a 7th, and then he followed up with 2 extra points finishes in Spain and Monaco. Missed out by 1 position in Canada, but then had his best run in the season, getting 6th, 8th, 6th again, and 2 5th-place finishes. Unfortunately, then he had 2 retirements at Belgium and Italy, and hasn't seen another points finish until Russia, and then Japan with a 5th. And his last points finish was Mexico. Even though it looked to be Abu Dhabi for a moment, he fought real hard to get there. He got 8th in the U.S. Grand Prix, and his career best of 3rd, his first ever podium in the Brazil Grand Prix after Hamilton was ruled
after the
time penalty after the incident
with Albon. Yeah. Yep.
Is he Ferrari material? I think so, but with how I've seen Ferrari and number 2 drivers, I wouldn't want to. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment, but I think it's gonna work out for the best.
Yeah,
I wouldn't pass up an opportunity to drive for Ferrari.
No, I would take that opportunity because trying to like the thing about running for other teams other than the top 3 teams is quite hard. Like, remember at Singapore, Joseph, last year? You usually see the big 3 teams lead. The first time since 2015 for a non-big team to lead a lap in a Grand Prix was Antonio Giovinazzi with Alfa Romeo. The last time before the big 3 teams was Williams in 2015, which, the other teams don't have much of a chance to win against the big 3 teams.
But, in Grand Prix racing, there's always a chance with luck and everything else. Let me see what else we have here about F1. So, Daniel Ricciardo, who had a pretty abysmal 2019 season, his first year outside of Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo will be slated to drive for McLaren in 2021. The 30-year-old from Perth, Australia, has seen a lot of success in Formula 1 with 7 victories. Still looking for that first world championship. Still looking for that 30th podium. It didn't come in 2019 in Renault.
Yeah.
Renault was his worst season since 2013, which was his last year at Toro Rosso.
Yeah, because
we're going up to Red Bull to take over Mark Webber's seat.
Yeah. And for one point, after Vettel left, Kvyat drove, and that kind of helped Ricciardo for a bit. Yeah, but and then Max joined.
Yeah, the Max joined, and then they both were getting good.
Yeah.
But here's what happened, though. He did get 9th in the World Drivers' Championship, but it was very, very bumpy. Retirement at Australia pretty much hit the grass when the lights came out. 18th in Bahrain, but he did complete more than 9% of the race instances, so he was considered as finished and classified. China, he got 7th, his first points for Renault. And then it's bumpy, like retired at Baku, 12th at Barcelona, and then goes to Montreal with 9th and Monaco in 9th and Montreal with 6th. Then 2 positions just outside, 11th and 12th, France and in Austria, a 7th at Silverstone, and then another retirement in the German Grand Prix. Many could say the same about that race too. Hungary, it was just mediocre, 14th, but I was very impressed when he finished 4th in the Italian Grand Prix. It was best finished all for Ricardo all year, and he was looking around there, 14th at Singapore. Just the inconsistency. I don't think Ricardo was happy at Renault. I'm just being personal about that.
The problem about Renault, they're not known for being fast, but like there's some things that Ricardo did mistakes. Remember at Baku, him and Kvyat ended up in the escape route. Yeah, no, in the escape route where Mahavir Raghunathan couldn't turn the car.
Yeah, in the Formula 2.
And yeah, that place. Remember, then Ricardo backed up into Kvyat. Remember that? Ricardo backed up into him and taking both cars out of the race.
That was very unfortunate.
I'm like, yeah, so that's kind of sad. Like, it was not good for Renault. And sometimes Renault has issues like, that Bahrain race where Ricardo finished 18th? Literally, Ricardo blew up after, and him and Hülkenberg on the same lap had issues. So
it was very unfortunate for Nico Hülkenberg too. Many say he deserves a ride again in 21. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of talk about drivers switching teams before the season has even started.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Formula 1. Of course, now they have talks about the season starting in Austria.
Yeah, I heard about
early July.
Yep.
Obviously, if the season were to start right now and everything goes as planned, we would have a 12-race schedule. With July 5th in the Austrian Grand Prix, British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Now they say if they're running, they'll have no fans, but they're offering to run multiple Grand Prix races to make up for the number of lost dates.
Yeah,
so you may see a doubleheader on July 19th.
But they have more races. They're lucky they have that many races. But there's some other series. They don't have much races. Like Formula 2 and Formula 3. They usually have 12 races. Like Formula 2 has 12 races, but 2 races in each. But with this many races gone, they have a really short schedule.
And obviously, Formula 1, in my opinion, I think Formula 1 and in the WEC, pretty much any type of global level of racing will have the biggest hit due to the COVID-19 pandemic because of the amount of global necessity. Really, you have to travel around. There are countries that have not lifted up any restrictions yet and may not do so for a while. Obviously, the majority of the season is in Europe, and of course, the European countries are not on the same page right now with restrictions, but we have seen that the Red Bull Ring is pushing to make this Austrian Grand Prix happen with or without fans on July 5th. We just have to see. Of course, unlike NASCAR, can the FIA manage to make a deal with their teams and drivers and pretty much all the personnel, because there's a lot of people involved here when it comes to putting an F1 team together, to travel, and they may or may not have to be socially distant. Who knows how that's going to work? NASCAR went above and beyond with that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this quickly because of F1 is supposedly racing that weekend.
I mean, just listen. Sorry to cut you off, Justin, but we already know that the Belgian Grand Prix is in jeopardy.
But I'm talking about Austria.
Yeah, back to Austria.
Yeah, I'm talking about it. I'm just looking at it. They were not just on that weekend. Also, Formula 2 and Formula 3 are supposed to race there too at Austria. So far, F2 only has 6 races so far, which is really short compared to their 12-race schedule. So they have, they were slated to have those good races, and the F2 races are really interesting. like you see F2 races. Holy, they're really interesting.
Of course, because you have the feature and the sprint, and they're quick and fast and entertaining. But the problem, of course, is you can't travel, you can't race.
Yeah, but like if you could run a F1 race, what about the other two feeder series?
Well, F1 teams obviously have more money. The feeder series, unfortunately, someone has to come before the other. F1, of course, is the deal.
Yeah,
now,
but like
they could run without F2 and F3. I would not want to see that, but
like the thing is, like they need to race too. Like
we almost have half the schedule of Formula One being off, and who knows? I mean, the teams in there, of course, are cheaper. They may not have the abundance of money to do this. So someone's going to be missing out. We know that by just look at the 24 hours of Le Mans. We were talking about this last week. The Corvette factory team is off. Porsche has already taken half of their factory team off as well. What does this mean? Should we be surprised if more teams pull out before the FIA and ACO make a decision on Le Mans in September? Speaking of the 24 hours of Le Mans, there will be a virtual 24 hours of Le Mans on the scheduled weekend, which is June 13th to 14th of 2020. So be on the lookout for that. It should be very entertaining.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was the scheduled weekend for the 2020 edition of Le Mans. Now, obviously, we know that they have a system of reserve teams in case if some of the people on the entry list, they're eligible to make in the race, the teams cannot make it, then okay, you're next in line. You're in the entry list. Yeah. That's how they have a system. But it's still a bad look when we're talking about factory supported teams pulling out.
Yeah.
However, supercars. Well, let's talk about some supercars racing for a moment. While we know what we know about the 24 hours of Le Mans this year and how maybe in jeopardy, and really any global standpoint, or not standpoint, any global, what's the word? Focus on it. I can't speak. Any major global scale kind of racing or event will be in jeopardy for obvious reasons. NASCAR was able to come back because they had the ability to come back.
Yeah.
They have the resources. They have the locations. Formula One is not as simple.
Yeah.
So, supercars. Let's talk about supercars now. We have a lot of things going on over there. Obviously, they were able to get the Adelaide 500 in on February 22nd, 23rd. So the first two races in first round, of course. But then the Melbourne 400 at Albert Park off. They got canceled due to the pandemic. But they are coming up with a new calendar. So let me just pull that up. Let's first talk about James Courtney here. James Courtney has moved to Tickford Racing, and obviously we know what's going on with James Courtney. He has backing from Boost Mobile.
Yep.
And what does this mean for the 2010 champion, who has been mediocre for a long time? He'll be 40 this summer. A lot of people are mixed about this. I looked at reviews. James Courtney has not won a race since 2016. And his last Forge Championship finishes has been outside the top 10. Tickford Racing is a top 4 team.
Yeah, but the thing about it, Tickford Racing, I'm just looking through here. Tickford Racing has one championship in 2015. They have 62 victories as a team. with 59 pole positions, and they won the championship with Mark Winterbottom in 2015. I'm just looking through here. They've won 62 races, which I don't even know who's the last winner for the team. They have 62 victories in total, which I don't know when was their last victory. Because right now, Tickford Racing they have 4 cars now. They have Lee Holdsworth driving the 5, the 6 of Cameron Waters, James Courtney's in the number 44, and Jack LeBrock number 55. But yeah, like Tickford Racing's good, but I don't even know. Like,
here's the thing, though. We know that Cam Waters and Lee Holdsworth, they're kind of on top of their game. I think Cam Waters will lead the team for a long time. Right now, Holdsworth has to gain some ground a little bit, but James Courtney has something called dollars, and there you have it.
But the thing is, can Tickford Racing win with him?
I think they can, but
it's been, I don't know how long it's been since they've won. They have 59 wins, but when was the last time they won? That's the problem.
All right, so let's go ahead and
let's
go ahead and talk about the other side of Ford in supercars. That being another somewhat controversial move here, but 23 Red Racing has exited supercars competition, leaving Will Davison without a ride.
Okay, yeah, like
no one saw this coming, in my opinion, because they worked well with Tickford Racing, another Ford team. Obviously, we just talked about them. But
like,
I think this is just a case of the virus getting the best of someone's business here.
Okay, I'm looking here. Okay, you know they're sponsoring Milwaukee Tools.
Yeah, Milwaukee.
They lost money from that. Milwaukee Tools lost some money, which is really unfortunate. That like they lost money, so this is really
Milwaukee Tools.
Like, there's some other teams in different motorsports that have lost some money from this, including small NASCAR teams like Carl Long. They've lost money because of it. Like, some teams, some different companies, some companies are actually filing bankruptcy things right now. Like, they're filing bankruptcy right now. Like, without sales, like, they're not making money, which will affect them in the long run.
Right. Now, I mean, we saw that James Courtney, of course, remember he left Team Sydney after just the first race.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was a bad look on himself because, I mean, he left. Obviously, he came from Waukesha Andretti United and then just went to Team Sydney and just. I'll take it back.
Yeah, and then he was at the team, and then after round 1, he left. And it's like
basically in the middle of the race weekend.
Yeah,
I remember that. I wasn't surprised, but I mean,
like I remember when we were saying about. I remember once on a podcast we were saying about, and we're literally saying we don't know the situation. We don't know because we're not those reporters that know a lot. Like, we couldn't go to Australia then and go ask them, why did he leave the team? Like, no, we're not those type of people. Like, yeah.
But, wherever Courtney goes is where Boost Mobile goes. So
yep.
I guess that's what you do when I think the dollars come in. He won the championship 10 years ago and hasn't really done much since. And he had a one-off victory in 2016. But it's just what it is. And I apologize for the outside noise. It's rain. It's been pretty bad. in South Florida lately.
Well, at least
so let's talk about their new revised schedule. Let's get into what we do know, and they are making it clear that they'll be returning on June 27th and June 28th at the Sydney Motorsports Park in Eastern Crete, New South Wales. For the first time, they'll be on the track racing since Adelaide in February.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a practice session or two in Melbourne, but it
didn't happen. The race
and then
is
July 18th, 19th.
Winton. Then after that, August 8th to 9th, we have Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin. August 29th to 30th, Townsville. September 19th to 20th is the Bend. That track that has so many turns.
Yes, Thailand Bend.
The Bathurst 1000 the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 on October 8th to 11th. Perth.
The highlight race of the year.
The PureTech Perth, that's the name of the event. October 31st to November 1st. November 21st to 22nd, Tire Power Tasmania, Simmons Plains Raceway. December 12th to 13th, the Penrite Oil Sandow International Motor Raceway.
Yeah, it's no longer an enduro. That goes to the Bend.
January 9th to 10th, ITM Auckland at Hampton Downs Motorsports Park. And then there's a Bathurst race on February 5th to 7th.
Right. That will share the same weekend as the Bathurst 12 Hours. And it'll be the season finale for 2020.
Yeah.
It will be a sprint race. Obviously, kind of like a support race to the Bathurst 12 Hours.
Yeah.
Kind of like how they were supposed to be in Melbourne this year.
Yeah.
But I think it's a decent schedule. And unlike Formula One and most sports car series around the globe, this could work because a lot of teams, of course, they're in the same country or countries. If they're not in Australia, they're in New Zealand.
Yeah.
The tracks are all in the same area. It could work depending on what the government there does. I hope they work with the Supercar Series to make it happen. They're really pushing to get it. I mean, they made an announcement that sounded kind of like how NASCAR did with Darlington to make it clear we are racing on May 17th. It happened.
Yeah.
Now they made it clear we are racing on June 27th at Sydney. And I think it's going to happen with fans. Who knows? Without fans.
Yeah, like without fans. Like without fans, it doesn't matter. Me and Joe, we could watch
as long as we get the cars on track.
And also for people in over here, you'll have to stay up. Obviously,
I have no problem doing that.
It depends, but most times I could stay up, except the 2019 Australian Grand Prix where I was sleeping before the lights went out.
I literally hear snoring before the lights went out.
Yeah.
But you know what? In your defense, the 12 Hours of Sebring just finished.
Yeah.
Oh, and, also, where was I going with this? IndyCar. Remember, IndyCar made it clear that they're starting on June 6th. Now, they're facing the same problem with international travel. But hopefully they can just get a few things worked out. You know, a lot of money will help everybody. So I think it's going to work. Let me see what else we have here. So IndyCar, speaking of IndyCar, they announced this past week that on October 24th to 25th, the season finale will be at St. Petersburg, where the first race of the season was supposed to happen, and that all got shut down just before that date came.
That's a good call.
And speaking of a series where we see a lot of IndyCar drivers head to, the main sports car championship in North America, the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
New schedule released, and
they will restart with a sprint race at Daytona on the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, and then after that, they're racing at Sebring again. Not for the 12-hour race, a sprint race. And then after that, August 31st to 2nd, which is still on the same weekend as scheduled. Road America is still on the same weekend. Virginia International Raceway, which is a sprint race for the GT classes on August 21st on August 23rd. September 6th, Laguna Seca for its sprint race. Mid-Ohio will be September 27th. October 4th is the 6 hours at the Glen, gets pushed all the way to October. the Road Atlanta race is still on the same day as scheduled on the 17th for the Petit Le Mans. Lime Rock Park will be on for a sprint race for the GT class on Halloween, October 31st, and the final event of the season, the 12 Hours of Sebring, on November 14th.
My birthday. I want to go to that race. I hope I'm able to make it, and if they allow fans, they should.
Well, the only event on my birthday is the Xfinity Championship. So far as the Xfinity title on November 6th.
If things don't change, that's what it would look like.
Yep.
Race coming on my birthday is Cups at Talladega.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So I think IMSA is making a right decision, but here's the problem. Just like Formula One and pretty much everywhere else, travel.
Yep.
Not everybody is going to make it to North America easily.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Teams who's able to afford it. I mean, will we see teams sit out this year and prepare for next year? That sounds like a more logistic solution for some companies that put their cars on the track, for some organizations. But if we're talking about the powerhouse teams, of course, it seems like they have the major say-so in any given situation.
Yeah, and also, if people didn't know that, people never knew that IndyCar is not going to be a 600-kilometer race. It's going to be a 300-mile race, 200 laps, not the 248 laps that we usually see. And also, that race for IndyCar at Texas will be on NBCSN. That's been announced, but every other race is unknown yet. We don't know what network it's going to be, but NBCSN will broadcast the Genesis 300 on Saturday, June 6th.
And they're really pushing to make that race happen. I hope it goes as planned.
Yep.
Also, let's talk about NASCAR. They have announced that there will be more races confirmed for 2020. So I'll just read off what we have for the Cup Series. And so obviously we now have 13 confirmed races. We just finished round 5. We'll have round 6 and 7 this week. Then round 8 will be next week, May 27th, the Charlotte 500 kilometers.
Yeah.
The Food City 500 will be round 9 at Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee, Border City,
round 10.
May 31st. June 7th will be the Atlanta 500.
Yep.
June 10th will be on a Wednesday evening for the Martinsville Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500, and I hear a lot of that from Emu lately.
On June 10th.
On June 10th. June 14th will be the Dixie Vodka 400 at Homestead. Will I be there? Most likely not.
Yeah, and June 21st.
Well, I can't control that, obviously. They have rules set.
And also, I heard if people try to trespass, they get fined and go to jail. So I
don't want to go to jail. I want to report the race.
Yeah. And then June 21st is and on June 21st is the Geico 500 from Talladega.
Yeah. So after June 21st, there are other races that may or may not change.
We don't
start
know.
with Pocono, they're slated to have 2 races.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, what tracks look good right now? I'm just looking from the rest of the schedule here. So Pocono, doubleheader, Brickyard 400 on July 5th, July 11th, Kentucky 400, New Hampshire's only race on July 19th, August 9th. Remember, they had a scheduled break for the Olympics. Obviously, that don't be surprised if we see makeup races on that schedule.
Then it would have been August 9th, Michigan. After that, Watkins Glen on the 16th.
That race may be in the good because the New York government has allowed it to happen. Beginning in June, racetracks will be able to reopen.
After
Watkins Glen is amongst one of them.
Dover, August 23rd. August 29th is Daytona.
I see that happening as well.
September 5th, we go to Darlington for the Southern 500.
I think that's a definite yes. Darlington.
Then it's Richmond, the 12th. The first one got canceled. The second one, don't know about Richmond. They didn't announce anything. After Richmond, we go to Bristol. Bristol's right after Richmond on Saturday. Then we head to Las Vegas. After Las Vegas, we have
Talladega.
Then the Roval, Kansas.
I think that will work.
After that, it's Kansas. Hopefully, Kansas. I don't know what's going on in Kansas right now.
Chicagoland's off the table.
After Kansas, we head to. Oh my gosh, I should know this. Oh,
I'm looking right now. Texas. I think Texas will work.
After that, and then Phoenix. Phoenix
okay.
is last race.
Which tracks will look good? I think I'll start off with Indy. I don't know about Pocono. The Pennsylvania government has not really given the thumbs up yet.
Yeah, it's unknown.
Right, but right now the rumors don't favor that race for happening on June 27th, 28th. Right now we know the government in Indiana, they are pushing to make this July 4th weekend at the Brickyard 400 happen, even with fans. There are rumors that saying that fans will happen. Well, or not happen. They'll be there. I can't speak.
I don't know. We'll see.
Because now the IndyCar's revised schedule has the Indy Grand Prix on July 4th.
They have one race there. They
Indy NASCAR doubleheader.
Yeah, and also
there twice.
Yeah, they have a second race at the Indy Grand Prix in October. And also Kentucky, we don't know.
I don't know about Kentucky really.
Kentucky, I don't even know. We haven't heard much of them. New Hampshire, I don't know.
America. They want to race with fans. When talking about the IndyCar schedule,
see.
And they've offered New Hampshire. That's a rumor.
Yeah, like New Hampshire, we don't know the situation in New Hampshire right now. I don't know.
Let's just say it's been about a good 64 years since the last time a Cup Series race has happened at Road America.
After New Hampshire, which I don't know about New Hampshire, is Michigan. We don't know what's going on in Michigan.
It's not looking good for Michigan, though.
Oh, so after that we
Watkins
go.
Glen, I think is a yes.
Dover, I don't know about Dover.
Dover might work, but I feel like Daytona's going to work because everything
Darlington
over there is giving the okay sign.
Darlington's going to work because we raced there already. After Darlington, Richmond, I don't know what's going on in Richmond. I don't know.
Virginia's slowly reopening, but we know that
after Richmond,
Darlington's probably going to happen.
After Richmond is Bristol. I think that's an okay because we're racing there in May, so we should be good. Vegas, Las Vegas. I don't know what's going on.
That's a slippery slope.
Like because
most of the West Coast races are having the bigger disadvantage.
Like Las Vegas, we raced there before. Like we raced there in February, so I don't know.
We didn't have to worry about that in February.
After that, it's Talladega. Yes, Talladega should be good because we raced that. We're gonna race in Talladega in June. After Talladega, Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte Roval should be good. Kansas. We don't know about Kansas' situation. After Kansas is Texas. We'll see about Texas. Like if IndyCar could do that, NASCAR should probably do it. Hopefully.
Gossett should probably give the okay to that.
Martinsville's good because we're going there in June. And Phoenix,
I think Phoenix might work, believe it or not, because the Arizona legislature has given the okay for sporting events, and they're slowly allowing mass gatherings to come back again from a report I read earlier today.
So there's somewhat of a slight ray of hope.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't even know if that's going to be the last race of the year because it's November 8th.
Yeah, but the thing is, we're not going to be racing up north in December when there's
snow.
Of
course, when the days become closer to December, the window for tracks in northern states will go away.
Because you can't race in the snow, and no, they're not going to put ice tires on the cars. That's not going to work.
The one time they got away with it was allowed in Thanksgiving in 2001.
Yeah.
But even then, if you remember the 2004 Southern 500 on November 14th, it was very chilly.
Yeah, so I don't expect to see races in the north in December because I think we can get racing in Vegas.
Phoenix, California.
Like all the states that are really in the south with no snow is okay, but states in the north with snow, it's not gonna work out. It's just the weather. Like you can't race in the snow. That's
And
not
obviously,
gonna.
we have to talk about regulations. Where are they allowed to race?
Yeah, like we don't
Where
know.
will fans be allowed?
Yeah,
What
like
tracks will go above and beyond to allow that to happen? We saw NASCAR went above and beyond to just, I'd say, to get validation from the CDC saying, yes, you guys are doing a safe job. You are socially distancing with
yeah,
the two mics interviewing, with wearing the face mask in
yeah,
hot weather. You
yeah,
are doing the right thing. We
yeah,
got that out of the way. Maybe they're going to lower the
yeah.
social distancing rules slowly but surely. Hopefully, the curve will be flattened and we'll
But
get some
like,
racing.
it's just some people have been saying that it's weird that the drivers have to wear masks. I'm like, it's the CDC. You can't. It's not
And
NASCAR.
you know what? Right now, we have racing. We don't want to throw that
We
out
don't
again.
like we had iRacing. It was good, but I wanted the real thing, like a
We have it
real.
now.
Yeah, which is a good thing. Which people said it was fake. People said it was actually fake. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Yeah, Darlington is. Somebody thought it was VR. Like the racetrack was VR. I'm like, that's not VR. It's the actual racetrack.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of idiocracy, earlier this week,
Ugh.
um, a man was arrested for a bomb threat at Darlington
Oh
Speedway
my.
on race day, and he's under custody now.
Yep.
And he belongs there. I think he belongs in
Yeah.
jail. So for a
Yeah.
long time.
Don't
Yeah.
mess things up for us race fans, man.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also
Like seriously.
some people, like there was a guy that wanted to yell at the governor of North Carolina because he's not allowed to go to the Coke 600. I'm like, yeah, it's not the governor, the
It's not about
CDC.
you this year. It's about
Yeah, you can watch it on.
the pandemic.
And somebody says I can't watch. Somebody says, like people say I don't want to watch on TV. I'm like, if you want, you can watch the race on TV. Like it's called. Fox is not a cable network. It's basically a basic channel. Like literally.
Yeah, that's where you watch your football. If you don't know what Fox is.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Fox. Yeah.
Let me see here.
Yeah.
Just looking at the fact. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, Myrtle's Beach Speedway is slated to close after 2020. A track that's been in South Carolina really heavily searching for that funding, and they've been up and down in recent years, and it seems like they may have reached the end. Hopefully, something.
Yeah, people are like.
Hopefully, that can somehow drastically change for the better, like we saw with Irwindale. But
it's money. Like
that's the common denominator.
Like small tracks, like you see the big tracks, like big NASCAR tracks, they have enough money, but because they attract a lot of people. Myrtle Beach does not attract much people compared to Daytona. Like they need money is the thing. Without races, they lost some money, which is a big loss for some. Like some racetracks lost some money because of it. A lot of money. Some of the smaller tracks, they lost more money.
All right, and also for some of the races that will not have qualifying, there'll be a draw for that. Be on the lookout. I think we're gonna have a great week of racing. Everybody needs this time to just take their mind off of reality, everything that's going on lately, to watch racing, to enjoy the sport of NASCAR.
Like literally, like if you don't want like the races, like it's easy to watch them. If you don't have like cable network, go find a live stream. Check Twitch. Some people stream on Twitch, like, or if you want to find a live stream for the races that are on non-cable networks like FS1, go on Reddit. Go check on the motorsport streams. I've used.
All right, I think that's.
I've used.
Oh, go on. What
tune in on the races on Tune into the races on Fox and FS1. And remember, Xfinity's at 6, not 8, 6 p.m. Eastern. For everybody that didn't know that it was pushed 2 hours, it is.
Okay, so I think we've reached a good stopping point for the podcast today. We'll be back next week. By the way, next week, because the NASCAR Xfinity Series, we have a race on
Memorial
Day next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have the podcast at 4 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern Time next week. So not 7, but we'll be on earlier.
4.
Right. Yep. We will definitely have notifications out there on Twitter.
Yep.
So we'll keep you guys posted. With that said, thanks for watching. We're my partners, Daniel Ford, Justin Hebert, and Austin LaPlante. I'm Joe Laney Pavlon, signing off.
off.
See you next week.